Welcome to InDesign Secrets, episode 324. Holy mackerel.
324.
I'm David Blatner, and I'm here with my fabulous co-host, Anne-Marie Concepción.
That's right. Thank you very much, David. How come we didn't pay attention to episode 321?
I know.
Right? We didn't do anything special for that one. Okay, anyway, remember that InDesign Secrets is the essential resource for all things InDesign.
Indeed.
Brought to you by the CreativePro Network.
And in this episode today, we have a lot of stuff. We're going to cover so much stuff.
Yes.
Big episode. We're going to talk about the new features in InDesign 2025, which just shipped. I'm going to talk about a few things that I saw at Adobe MAX and also the Design and Accessibility Summit. That was all last week from when we were recording this. And we have an interview with the fabulous Karen Brewer from Adobe. So that's going to be fascinating, getting some inside look at stuff happening at Adobe. And the obscure InDesign feature of the week.
Geek.
Show subset.
Yes, this is one that I stumbled across.
You did, and it took me forever to find it. So I think I got it. now.
Okay. All right, let's talk about the top InDesign 2025 new features.
Yes.
Keep in mind that most of them are 1.0 features, meaning that Adobe, I guess somebody lit a fire under the InDesign engineers. They're like, get this stuff out. So they are releasing new features even though they're not exactly ready for prime time. We call them 1.0 features, and they will be reiterating and improving them and fixing them as time goes on. And but for now, they're pretty cool.
It is
one of the newest features. What's one of the newest features?
I just want to say that idea. This does seem to be a new trend at Adobe. This idea of like last episode, we were able to talk about some of the new features that were coming out, like the history panel and the MathML feature. So they're allowing people to talk about the features before they're out, and they're releasing them, like you said, before they're fully baked. And so I have mixed feelings about that. I like seeing them, but at the same time, I'm like, shouldn't you finish the feature?
I know.
There's some stuff like the MathML. We talked about MathML.
It's a big one.
It's a big one that they added. We're having a lot of people excited about being able to do math equations in InDesign, but they're all SVG images, which means they're all RGB color. You cannot choose a black color. It's only RGB. So James Wamser came up with a little workaround that allows you to use the Acrobat fix-up, pre-flight fix-ups to sort of force it to black. But, honestly, that should not be... You shouldn't have to use a hack or workaround.
Well, I mean, it works. It would be perfectly fine for ebooks, right?
Sure.
They're ebooks that use MathML. They're fine. Right. So it's just that old thing of print, Assuming people still do math textbooks, which I assume they do.
Right.
And, scholarly journals for the scientific community.
Good point.
All that needs to be straight black. And that's a wonderful workaround that James posted. So keep that in mind. But we want the feature to be able to be any color that you want, including CMYK.
Right.
And we want the feature to also be able to change fonts, right?
Yes.
To change typefaces.
Right. Can't do that.
And what was one other... it won't break? It won't break across a line? Is that right?
That's true. Yeah. If you've got a long equation, you can't break it across. Because it's just a graphic. It's just making a graphic.
Yeah.
And the last thing is it'll only work with MathML. It's not LaTeX. If you're using LaTeX, you can't.
That's L-A and then capital T-E-X, right?
Yes,
not latex like the gloves.
Good point. Yes. Different
Is that how you pronounce
feature.
it, latex? I thought it was latex or L-A-tex.
I always call it LaTeX.
LaTeX. Oh, LaTeX. Okay, that makes sense.
I don't know. I'm not a math typesetter. Anyway, new features. It's cool that they're adding it, but I do hope they speed up work on that. And
you will find it in the window menu. It's a new panel called Math Expressions.
Yeah.
And it says, there's a button there that says Insert MathML, and then your eyes will pop out of your head like all this MathML input on the left and what the preview of the expression looks like on the right. And either you have to be a brainiac and know how to input the MathML, right? Or you need to have some sort of hook into another program. What should people be using at this point?
I think most people are going to be getting their MathML from some other program,
right?
Copying that MathML and just pasting it in there, and then they get the expression. So that's typically what they're going to end up with.
Right.
The big feature, we should have just started with this one. The big new feature is actually not new at all. It's Cloud Docs, but it's
Yeah.
official now. Now in InDesign 2025, you can save your documents as INDDC documents in the cloud on Adobe servers, and then you can open them from the cloud and so on. And that's, I have mixed feelings about it, but I think, sooner or later, I think we're all going to be going in the cloud.
Well, Photoshop and Illustrator, those people have gotten a head start in figuring out workflows where the cloud version of a file makes sense. And maybe we should ask them, what are you using it for? How is it working for you? Because the thing is that although you can save it in the cloud, meaning then, there's a feature that says, okay, now no matter what computer you're at, you can always go to your cloud and work on a document. You can do that with Dropbox or Google Drive, anyway. So what's the other feature? Well, I think the other feature is that you can share it with somebody, but that person has to have the full-blown app, and they have to download it. They can't do any editing in the cloud. They just download it from the cloud. Then they upload it to the cloud, and so...
Well, but that's relatively smooth.
Is that helpful?
I think it's going to be helpful. I do think that's going to be helpful, as opposed to using Dropbox or OneDrive or something like that.
Or attaching something to an email.
Yes, that's right.
Right.
That's right. Then you're tracking this, who has the live file. At least with Cloud Docs, there is just one file in the cloud
that's true.
Only one person can work on at a time, but at least you can keep it in one place. Now, I think that the future is going to be multiple people working on the document at the same time. That's a natural thing to happen, or be able to take part of the file, like maybe just a story, and have somebody edit just a story, and maybe somebody else is editing this page. Or I really feel like Adobe is trying hard. They see Google Docs, they know, everyone knows, and Microsoft 365, everybody knows that the future needs to be collaborative.
Yes,
this is absolutely. This is step one in that collaborative future.
Yeah, it's a 1.0, step one. So if, I would love to hear from anybody who listens to the podcast, if you're using cloud documents in Photoshop or Illustrator, or if you've already started using them in InDesign, let us know. Email us or tell us in the show notes about how you're using it and if it's saving you time or not.
Oh, the other thing is you can place graphics from the cloud into InDesign. And I think that's an interesting idea. Curiously, because you can place an InDesign document into another InDesign document, I found that you can actually place a InDesign cloud document into
an InDesign file.
Into another InDesign file. So, and it links to the cloud document. So I think there's going to be some interesting workflows there as well.
Well, yeah, that's a good point. So we could have the Illustrator and Photoshop files and I guess movie files and so on saved in the cloud. They're in the cloud and you place it from the cloud. Yeah. That's good. I like the fact that you don't have to be working in the cloud to place from the cloud. It could be a normal InDesign document on your hard drive, but you can still import and link to from the cloud, or you can embed it in your file if you wanted to.
Somebody told me they couldn't import Illustrator documents from the cloud. It only worked with Photoshop, so I got to try that. I have not. Anyway, we're going to try that and get back to you, or somebody out there leave a note in the show notes. More features from InDesign 2025, because there's actually a lot. We better move through this quickly.
Okay, let's move on.
You can now export InDesign to Adobe Express. So you've got your InDesign document, and you want to use that design in Express to do social media or maybe even print.
I think there's a lot of people in our audience who've never used Adobe Express. Okay. Even though I just started using it just because of all the hype. Didn't realize at first that it doesn't exist as an app that you download from the Creative Cloud. It's only online.
Right.
So when you go to, I think it's express.adobe.com, I'm not sure what the URL is, then you don't even have to log in, I don't think. Or maybe it knows
you have to log in. Yep, you have to log in.
Okay.
Because it's using your same Adobe app.
And then all your work is done in the cloud. It's got the whole interface on the left. It's got the typefaces and so on. You and I practiced with a document that you exported from InDesign, and then I edited it in Adobe Express, and I thought it was kind of neat. It's just too bad it can't go the other way. You can't get it from Express back to InDesign.
That's what I want way more. I want use Express's all the cool features you can do in Express, because Express has a lot of AI features where you can say, just make a cool looking template. Just make something look great, and then you tweak stuff. I want to take that and throw it in InDesign for final tuning, because that's, to me, InDesign is a precision placement tool. It's all about really getting everything exactly where you want it. Express is all about...
They do have guides. There are guides.
Yeah, it's very easy in Express to throw stuff together. Just throw it together. But it's not easy to get it exactly right. Pixel perfect. You can't.
That's true.
Pain in the butt. So there's two different things. I just think that they serve two different reasons for being. So I want that.
They do.
Yeah, I want that to go back and forth. Anyway, that said, it was really cool to be able to just export directly out of InDesign and poof, it's in Express.
It even remembered the stacking order of objects, and you can select an object and send it to back, send it all the way to back, bring it forward. So that worked out pretty cool.
Yeah.
You can group items too, right there in the window.
Yeah, there's some clever stuff that they're doing there. It was significantly better than I expected, for sure.
Yeah.
So that's good. But a couple things. Remember, because it's in the cloud, you're using Adobe's... how do I say this? If you're not using Adobe's fonts, then those fonts may change. It's going to try and find a font that's similar. But there are some things with fonts changing. You have some controls over export, like PDF export. You don't have a lot of control yet.
I didn't even try that. You can export to PDF?
Yeah.
Oh.
You can export to print.
Okay.
It actually says export to print. So you can make stuff, have somebody else. You could make an InDesign document, export it to Express.
I know where you're going with this.
Who doesn't use Express, doesn't use InDesign, tweak it just through a web browser, and then they can export out a PDF for print. So there's some clever stuff.
Do you think really it would be suitable for print? It's not going to downsample the images or rasterize the type, or I don't know, definitely something for another episode. I thought what you were going to say was they could tweak it, they could export it to PDF, then you could take that PDF and you can use the beta feature of open a PDF in InDesign.
Oh my gosh. I love the idea. I like the way you're going with that. No, that would be a terrible idea. And actually it wouldn't work anyway, because the beta in the pre-release beta version of InDesign right now, they have this feature that lets you open PDF files as editable, but it only opens InDesign created PDF.
Oh.
It doesn't work on any PDF. The PDF has to be from InDesign. Anyway, which is a huge limitation. But that's where. Anyway, it's good. It's good. It's in there. Hey, another feature. What do you
export InDesign to HTML5?
Yes.
Now, honestly, I am not quite sure, because I have sort of left the land of HTML behind back when I figured out how to make an EPUB. But you can export to HTML now. What is the big deal about being able to export to HTML5?
Well, HTML in InDesign has always been exporting like a flow, so it's reflowable. It's just text and graphics in an HTML file. So you don't get... It's like the difference between reflowable EPUB and fixed layout EPUB. You don't get page geometry. In the past, you've never gotten page geometry. So what they decided to come up with was, as we know, 5-6 years ago, they said, let's do publish online. Maybe it was longer. I don't know, however long that's been. Publish online, which lets you export HTML with page geometry, so it looks exactly like it does in InDesign, and they put it up on Adobe servers.
Okay.
The first thing everybody said was, great, but I just want the HTML. I want to put it on my own server. The answer to that has always been use In5 from Ajar Productions, because you get all the HTML5.
That's the InDesign plugin.
Yeah.
In5.
But it costs money. So people kept saying, just give me publish online, but let me download the HTML to my own.
That's huge then. That's huge.
Well,
if you can create a publish online version that you can, put on your own website. So I would just take the publication that I would normally export to publish online, export it to HTML5, and done. Animations, everything.
That's the idea.
Well, I'll have to investigate that one.
I think this is I was just talking to somebody on Reddit about this. I was saying, again, it's a 1.0 feature. It's going to get that, and he's like, no, I would call this like a 0.1 alpha version. It's really pretty buggy, or maybe he was talking about the MathML. I can't remember now. Sorry, but it's the HTML5 is buggy, It doesn't give you everything you get in Publish Online. It gives you some of it.
Yeah.
So this is not ready for prime time.
No, I think that if it were just like what I was fantasizing about, that they would have announced it as Publish Online you can put it on your own server.
Right.
All you have to do is, export to HTML5.
It's
but
close.
They didn't, so.
It's a step in the right direction. Like all of these features, they're a good step in the right direction, but it's half-baked. I'm going to wait till sometime in 2025, when it really is 2025, to see these features. Hopefully they'll be getting better. We'll see.
Okay.
It's getting there.
Anything
in 5,
else?
but right now, in 5 is the way to go. Let's see other stuff. Well, we've talked about the hide spread thing, how that's gotten much better. Yay!
Right. Accessibility updates.
Oh, Laura Brady wrote a great article on the accessibility updates. This is one area where Adobe does really seem to be paying attention, and they're trying to improve it each and every version. There's more and more accessibility features, so I really give them kudos for that. We'll put a link in the show notes to Laura.
And their accessibility not just for people who are using screen readers, but also for EPUBs.
Yeah.
So to make more accessible EPUBs, I think I read one thing where now you can tag things as figure caption and figure, which was always something you had to do manually before.
Yep.
So that's good.
They're just making it easier and easier. Other stuff. Let's see. We've talked about the Gen AI stuff, the text to image, and the history panel.
Did we generative expand image? We talked about that, didn't we?
I think so. Did we talk about the history panel and why I'm so angry?
Yes, we did.
Okay.
We did. I remember that part where you're angry. I think it was every single episode. Let me think.
It's always something. It's always something. History panel is good, but I am just not going to use this feature until it works when you just open a file. Start working on a file. I mean, it still isn't working.
I don't know, David. I think it's kind of like a minor quibble. So you open up a file and you save it. The end.
Most files that I open as converted. So almost every file.
So just save them. When I open a file and it says converted, I don't keep working on it.
Really?
I save it, because I don't want it to stay converted.
Huh.
I'm going to save it at some point. If I'm just opening it to peek at it, that's fine. But
that's just not the way I work. I open files,
I
work on them. Well, I work on them for 10, 15, 20 minutes sometimes before I save them. I'm in a rush. I'm trying to get stuff done.
I guess so. I just don't think it's that big of a deal to change that habit. If that's your only quibble with it.
That is my only quibble right now, is that it does not work when you first start working a document or if it's open as converted. And they'll fix that. Sooner or later, they're going to fix that. I'm just peeved.
Okay.
That's my quibble. All right. I'll try and change. I'll try and save. Save as.
How about, one thing that I found to be kind of obnoxious in 2025 that's new is the contextual taskbar that appears everywhere for everything.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And it does for more things now, right? So now you're getting it with text frames, and it's...
add a frame, start with an image, make a text frame. It's a little bar here that has like a few choices, none of which you want. You want a different choice. Like it says add a frame, and it's suggesting right now I have nothing selected in InDesign. The contextual taskbar says add a frame, and it's showing me the rectangle frame tool, which I would never create. Probably one of the least used tools in my toolbox, because I just place an image. I don't place a frame to import an image. I might use a text frame a lot more. I would even just use the rectangle tool more. But it's suggesting that I want to add an image frame.
Interesting. But right next to that, there's a little T. If you click on the T,
that's that switches to the type tool.
Yeah. I like where they're going with this. I have to say, I have been really annoyed by the context. What do they call it? Contextual
menu bar.
It's just
contextual context bar.
That's
the context bar.
I like
contextual context bar.
I like the idea of having these things appear. It just feels like they haven't gotten it right yet. They're trying to improve it. They're trying to add features. There just needs to be more. But in general, the idea is instead of right-clicking to choose stuff, or instead of having to go to a panel, there's a little thing floating kind of nearby. I don't know. I don't hate it as much as a lot of people do. I guess that's what it comes down to.
I don't hate it. Well, I guess I said I did hate it. I hate that it's popping up all over the place.
Yeah.
And this pin and unpin that you get from the meatball menu, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Unpin the context bar. Right now, because I always think of pinning as pinning it to something that you've selected, and that's not what it means.
Oh, no. No, it's
right?
pinning to the screen.
Pinning to the screen, someplace on the screen.
Right. It pins it to where it is on the screen, so you can always look for it there instead of it showing up on every object you click on.
Right.
I like pinning it because I like knowing where it's going to be, and it reminds me kind of like of the quick apply. I like putting quick apply in a specific place so that as soon as I select it, I know where to look.
Well, I wish that there was a keyboard shortcut to hide and show the context bar. Is there?
I don't know. All right.
Oh, we have to find that out.
You go look.
Right,
I'm going to look at my list. Is there anything else that we haven't talked about? They added a bunch of stuff earlier this year. The export and import user settings. I like that. Kind of. It's a little clunky, but it works. All the AI stuff we talked about. I don't know. There's a bunch of stuff they added. I am very pleased that they're adding these features, and I like this idea of let's roll it out and improve it. I'd like it to be a little more baked before they roll it out, but we're getting there. Oh, I wanted to mention. I know what I wanted to say.
Yes, sir.
I wanted to mention that James Wamser. Here we are back talking about James again. James has updated his awesome "What's New in InDesign" document, which is all published online. So we're going to put a link in there. So if you want to find what was new in this version versus what was new in the previous version, or going back, check out that document. It's one of my favorite things that he keeps updating this thing. So you can go back and say, what was new in InDesign 2020? And you just pops up. So thank you, James, for keeping that thing going.
Thank you very much.
Link in there. Okay. Is there anything else, or we should
I did find context bar in keyboard shortcuts, but there's no keyboard shortcut defined. So you can make a keyboard shortcut, I believe, to show and hide it.
Oh, okay.
So that's good. Now I can't find the category that it's in, but I'll find it later.
Okay.
There you go.
We'll have to write a blog post about that.
Yeah.
All right. So lots of good stuff in InDesign 2025, or at least lots of getting better stuff.
Interesting stuff.
Interesting and getting better. There we go. But that's, it's better than nothing, so that's good. Hey, let's shift topics here.
Okay.
We're going to talk about, I see, cool things that I saw at last week's events. 2 weeks.
That's right. Now, you went to MAX. I did not go to MAX. I sat here and watched and enjoyed it from afar. But you were right there in the thick of it in Miami.
I was.
And you didn't get hit by any hurricane, so that was a relief.
It was weird weather.
Did you get out to the beach at all? Did you see the ocean?
I saw the ocean from the airplane. Apparently there is an ocean there.
Okay.
I don't know. I saw the Everglades, which is amazing, from the airplane.
Oh, okay.
I saw a hotel and I saw a conference center.
All right, that's good.
That was good. I also saw a bunch of cool technology that's coming. Before I talk about Max, I just want to mention the Design and Accessibility Summit that was a couple weeks ago now. But that was our 4-day CreativePro event where we go deep dive into InDesign, PowerPoint, Microsoft Word, all kinds of stuff. How do you make accessible PDFs, accessible documents? And not just how do you make the documents, because Chad Chelius and Dax Castro were the program chairs this year. And they said, let's mix it up a little bit. Let's put some stuff about other sorts of topics in here as well. And I got to tell you, there were some amazing sessions in there, including one of my favorites was Kayleen Holt, who talked about designing for neurodivergent people who have an audience that people who are neurodivergent, whatever that means. And what that means is very ambiguous. And so she did a great job at talking about everyone is neurodivergent, right? But there are things that are pattern. There are patterns you can pay attention to, where if you know about your audience or you're trying to reach a larger audience, you can start thinking in bigger ways. And I loved her session. It was so helpful. It was so normalizing in some ways for a lot of us who were watching, going, oh, I see where that's coming from. Anyway, it was great. I highly recommend that session along with everything else that was there on the how do you actually do it. When I say recommend, the reason is you can still buy passes for that. You can go ahead and buy the pass for another month or two. If you go to creativepro.com/events, you can just sign up and then you'll get access you'll have
to all the recordings,
for like a full year, and all the handouts
and so on.
It's really really good stuff. Anyway, that was extraordinary. The other thing, Max, Adobe Max. Adobe Max, what do I want to say about Max?
Well, first of all, I was shocked, honestly, that they put it on without me there. I guess somehow they soldiered on.
They soldiered on. That was it. It was sad not having you there. A lot of people asked about you. They were like, "Where's Anne-Marie?" I did my sessions. We talked about that. My InDesign tips and tricks, and I did a lab on making interactive documents. I don't know what they're going to put on the web. Sometimes they put my sessions up, on the recordings up.
They don't usually put their labs up, but they put the regular sessions up.
That's true.
Yeah.
Anyway, what I wanted to say about it is the technology that I saw. There was a couple categories of technology. One is 3D, and while that doesn't necessarily relate directly to InDesign, it was fascinating. I think, I may have said this before, but I think that 3D is the new drop shadow. I think in the near future, everybody's going to be doing 3D stuff because it's just getting so easy now. Remember how it was a hassle to make drop shadows?
Yes, I do.
In the early 90s, and then all of a sudden, oh wow, we could just click a button. The same thing is happening now with things like Project Neo. Project Neo is this new app from Adobe which just makes it like any of us can do 3D objects. Very, very clever. Really, very impressive.
I have to look. I haven't looked at anything 3D-ish since Illustrator introduced its make a snake and then have it rotate. Now you have a vase. So
yes. Well, Illustrator introduced a lot more 3D features last year, I think. And now Neo. And the other thing that's happening they kind of snuck in was this. I forgot the name of it. Hold on. Substance 3D Viewer. You know, the Substance apps from Adobe are all their high-end 3D tools that you actually have to pay extra for because they don't come in Creative Cloud. But they've released this new thing. I think it's in beta right now. The Substance 3D Viewer is a way to get those really high-end, cool 3D objects into a program like Photoshop. And then once they're in Photoshop, you can rotate them in 3D, change their lighting, change their textures, change all kinds of stuff. It's really, really neat. So I saw a demo of that, and I was like, okay, I want to play with that. Very interesting. Now, the next thing I want to do is see that in InDesign, of course.
Right.
I want to be able to import a 3D object and rotate it in 3D so I can...
Right, and have users be able to rotate it in 3D.
Yes. Well, that would be even cooler. I like that. That would be amazing. Anyway, the 3D stuff is kind of amazing. And then another thing which actually kind of talks about 3D as well, but the other theme is AI, of course. Of course, AI is going to be everywhere at Adobe Max. But what's interesting is they're starting to stop using the term AI. They're starting to say it's just a feature. It's a really cool feature. But you look at it, you're like
generative something, don't they?
No,
generative
sometimes
something?
it's just.
They're not going back to Adobe Sensei, are they?
No.
Okay.
No, they're just doing what I think is going to be the next big thing in AI, which is you're using AI, but what you're really doing is focusing on what the feature does. And I'll give you an example.
Understood.
At Adobe Sneaks, which is always one of my favorites, right? Yeah. This year, I think it was particularly good. The actual technology that they were showing was particularly good. I highly recommend checking out the videos from Sneaks. But the last one they showed was called Project Turntable. And Project Turntable is they opened it in Illustrator. They had a 2D image in Illustrator, which is clearly all vectors. They would show it in preview mode. Look at the vectors. And then they would turn it in 3D. And it would generate new views on something, but it was still vector. It was still all vector, and you could always jump out of it and see the actual vector shapes. Was
it like a 3D effect?
No,
like the effects are?
No, it didn't look 3D. For example, they showed a horse that was the side view of a horse, and it had two legs, right? So somebody drew a horse in Illustrator, it had two legs. And then they were able to rotate that horse in 3D so you could see, the horse actually has four legs, right? So now where did those two legs come from? The two legs came from the AI engine going, oh, that's a horse. It's got to have 4 legs. And so when you rotated it, it created 2 more legs.
Then when it created the 2 more legs, then you could look at vectors, and there was vectors for 4 legs?
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, you got to see this video. My brain was exploding. It is shockingly good. Like,
cool.
That was one of the ones I looked at. I'm like, you can't do that. You just can't do that. But you can with AI. But did they ever say the word AI? No, they're not talking about AI. It doesn't matter. It's just the feature was amazing. That's what's cool. That's what I think is the next big thing. So there were some really cool things there around that. I encourage you to look at. Now, these are not InDesign things, but still, it was worth doing. Couple other quick things about Max. I did run into a bunch of cool people, of course. You weren't there.
I miss those people.
But the folks at Santa Cruz Software had a booth. Our friends at Santa Cruz, so that was awesome to see all them. We'll put links in the show notes to these things. Typify was there. Peach Pit had a booth. I haven't seen a Peach Pit press booth there for years and years. So that was really fun to talk to them. Lots of exhibitors. They also had their bookstore and chalky things that you could buy. And I did buy, I should have brought it in with me. I did buy the world's ugliest InDesign mug.
Oh, no.
It's so ugly.
It wasn't one of ours, was it?
No.
Oh. No. All right.
We're going to put a link in the show notes for, I wish I brought it out to my office. It's just so ugly. I don't even want it here.
Okay.
I couldn't help but buy it because I was standing there looking at, they had a bunch of mugs, and I was standing next to this guy, and we were both like looking around like this, and I looked at him, and we both had the same thought at the same time, which is, there's got to be other mugs here, right? I mean, because these are so bad. And the InDesign one was the worst. It's the wrong color. It has like 3 dorky icons. It's terrible.
All right. I got to see it now.
So I had to buy it.
Take a picture and we'll put it up in the show notes.
I will.
Yes.
I will. I feel bad. Whoever designed that mug, I'm sorry.
Right. I hope you're not listening.
I really hope you're not listening because it was dreadful. Anyway, that was Adobe MAX for me.
All right. That's good. Thank you for your report.
That's my report.
All right. So we have an interview.
Oh, yes.
We have an interview with Karen Brewer, who is an Adobe longtime staffer. And we are going to learn a lot more about her and what she does in the interview.
She has been waiting patiently in our lobby.
In the green room.
In the green room.
Yeah.
Let's bring out Karen.
Hello, Karen.
Hi there.
Hi there. Good.
Hi there.
It's so great for you to join us in our cute little podcast that could. Karen, you are sort of newish to Adobe, right?
I am. It's been a little over a year.
Wow. And are you loving it or hating it? Can't wait to leave. What do you think?
Oh my gosh.
You can tell us. We won't say anything to anybody.
No, I am being completely genuine when I say it's my dream job, actually.
Wow. Can you let us know what your job is?
Yeah, so you're senior director of product marketing, but what does that mean?
What is that? Yeah.
What is that?
What is that?
Product marketing. Okay, so it's a category called pro design, and product marketing runs really the marketing strategy. We understand the market, the customers, how people use our products, how they want to use our products, what future products we should build. It really sits between product and all the go-to-market. So all the marketing you see and events.
So for the entire pantheon of what Adobe creates, all the software programs?
For pro design.
For pro design.
Pro design.
Yeah, so that includes, of course, InDesign. I think one of your favorite products.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, good. And Illustrator.
Okay.
Yes. And we have a new product called Project Neo. That's beta. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're on Neo. Oh my gosh. I am very excited about that. I've been saying I feel like 3D is going to be the next drop shadow.
Yes.
That it used to, remember when the 3 of us started in this world, it used to be difficult to make drop shadows.
Right.
And today you're like, well, how could that even be? It's so easy.
Now it's a keyboard shortcut.
Now it's a keyboard shortcut. But it used to be a thing, and everybody wanted to make a drop shadow. 3D is like that. 3D is still, for most graphic designers, hard. It's a pain in the tuchus to do 3D. And Neo, I have not put my hands on it yet, but everything I've seen from Neo, I'm like, wait, that looks really easy. That looks like I might be able to do it. Is that what we're?
Right. Yeah, I think you might be able to do it. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's accessible 3D. So you got to get your hands on it. Yeah. Just go up to projectneo.adobe.com.
Okay.
And just dive in. Use your Adobe ID and dive in.
Because it's all in the browser, right? It's all Chrome.
Browser.
All browser based.
And there's a lot of designs that are already up there. You can actually use the slider, and you can see the history of how things were built.
Okay.
Gives you inspiration to kind of start your own. Yeah, and some of them you can actually go in and just use and edit and play around with.
Now, so if we make something in Neo, can I get it somehow into my InDesign layout? Can I must be able to export it as an image or something.
Yes, you can export it SVG.
Okay.
And we actually put hooks into Illustrator as a start.
Okay.
So right inside a Neo, you can send right into Illustrator, and then it's fully editable.
So you could export it you could get it into Illustrator, save it as SVG or AI, and then bring that into InDesign.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, the best part about 3D, right, is that you don't have to rebuild every time. You build something, then you kind of go, that's not the angle I want. I want to kind of move it again. You don't have to redraw that.
Right.
So anyway, check it out.
We will definitely check that out. So we skipped past an important. We started talking about who you are in your title now, but how did you get to this place? You've been.
I know.
I mean, you've been in this, like I said, like us.
Yeah.
You were early at Macromedia, right? I mean,
I was. Good research.
Yes.
Yeah. I did actually. I fell into tech, but you know what? I've been a creator all my life. So drawing, painting. I have a graphic design minor and a business degree, and I've been doing freelance work my entire life. So I love graphics, computer graphics. And really, most of my career has been in computer graphics for a few different companies.
And that artwork behind you, that's your work, right?
That is
you were
my
telling
work,
us before we started
using
recording.
Adobe products and using a little Gen AI as well, actually, text to pattern. So
I love it.
I've been a creator. So when you kind of get to a place in your career and you're like, where do I want to work? There are sort of two things. One is subject matter. Mm-hmm. I need to work for a company that I use the products, I believe in the products. And they've got to be something to do with computer graphics. Mm-hmm. So that kind of narrows down, And then the second is culture. I'm like, at this point, I really need to be in a culture that's more like me and with friendly people that love, also lots of creators inside Adobe. So many artists and videographers and everything you can think of. So very inspiring.
Excellent.
I love that. I love it. So you were at MAX this year, and I remember seeing you last year. I didn't get a chance to see you in person this year. It was such a bummer. But I just want to ask, what did you find? I've already shared a little bit about what I loved there, but what did you find that was mind-blowing? What excited you there?
Gosh.
And you're not allowed to say Neo because you already talked about Neo.
Okay, I already talked about Neo. So I love what we're doing to help our customers. I'm all about customers and customer workflows. And, I love it when we help our customers with mundane tasks, things that they really don't, love doing every day, and speeding those things up so that there's more time to ideate and really imagine, new projects, new designs, what have you. So some of the things I gravitate to might not be so whiz bang, but they're fundamentally helpful. One of them in InDesign, I have to tell you though, it is a Gen AI feature, but it does feel like a very utility feature, which is Gen Expand. And I know you all are so close to InDesign. I have laid out a yearbook or two, and in day using InDesign, and you maybe get to a place where you're like, all right, I got the right image. And then you come back and you're like, no, I can't have that placement the same place from page to page. Right. And I want to mix it up. but now I have my core image is not the right format. So it's just such a bugaboo. And I love that GenExpand does a really nice job of expanding an image to fit a new layout. So I kind of love that one, to tell you the truth.
Totally. Yeah.
That's
I mean,
true.
all of these features, they're early days. I mean, there's more things that we can do.
Right.
We can make them better. We can get the resolution better and so on. But but I agree. There's some very exciting things you can do with GenExpand, especially in those times when you just you need to get something to bleed off the page and you don't have image to bleed off the page.
Right.
So yeah, there's some good stuff.
That and history panel. How about that? That was something in the booth. We had a lot of customers come by and they're like, "Thank you, history panel."
Good.
So that's another one of those features that I think is super helpful, help people work faster, more productive.
So I didn't make it to MAX this year, but I've been many other times. You were at the Adobe booth talking to customers?
Yes, I was.
That's interesting.
It was packed, doing demos like the old days. I love that.
Wow.
Because then you just hear the real.
Yeah.
You're like, what are you working on? Tell me about where you're getting stuck. What are you liking about some of the new features or what have you? I talked to a lot of educators too, actually. Yeah. Really interesting conversations. And those can't happen. Just, you can orchestrate research, which we do research all the time.
Sure.
But in a booth, and they just are so transparent. Customers just really tell it like it is. And I talk to such a variety of creators, people, doing all kinds of things. So yeah, it was great.
I love that. The same thing was happening at CreativePro Week. Carrie and the other and Sil were there at CreativePro Week this year, and that in-person connection is really one of the most important things.
Yes.
I completely agree. It's about the people. Ultimately, this is about the people and like you said, helping people get efficient and productive with their work. I love that.
Yes.
So Karen, do you ever listen to other podcasts? I know that you've listened to all of ours since episode 1 all the way up to today, which is 324. But I'm curious.
Oh my gosh!
Do you ever listen to other creators do podcasts or YouTube channels?
I do, but I will tell you, any extra time I have, I take master classes, and
you do?
and I also subscribe to. Can I say who?
Yeah,
it's actually one of our customers, Laura Coyle.
Oh, Laura.
Yeah,
we know Laura.
I have a yearly subscription to her classes, and she does such great color work. And as you can see, I do a lot of color and textile. So I tend to want to, buy into subscriptions of our customers because I love to, kind of give back to them as well. But I mean, there's so many, I cannot even keep up. The other thing I'll say is I'm an mostly Instagram, I would say.
Okay.
And actually YouTube as well. And you can just find the best stuff just on social media and the shorts. I find out more about InDesign and Illustrator watching that than I do just even sitting inside the walls of Adobe.
Wow.
I didn't realize you could do that. So I learned the most actually from our customers, I would say.
That's cool.
That's great. That's great. Oh yeah, Laura is amazing. We'll put a link to Laura's site in the show notes for the podcast.
Right.
She's been speaking at CreativePro for years.
Yes.
She's incredible. Love that. So I'm curious, there's another thing that will help workflow that we haven't been talking about. That is the cloud document thing. Cloud documents was new. That's been in beta for a long time.
Right.
It was
for InDesign, it's new.
For InDesign, it's new.
Right.
It is.
Is the future cloudy? What's the deal on this whole cloud thing? What do we need to know?
Or that the apps only exist in the cloud, like Adobe Express is only in the cloud. It's not an actual app that you run on your hard
Neo's
drive.
In the cloud.
Neo's the same thing.
Cloud. Yeah.
Same. Yeah, I'm wondering.
Are you resisting?
I'm not resisting, but I have customers who are resisting. Customers who aren't allowed because they're enterprise or they're government or they're whatever. They're not allowed to do anything in the cloud.
Yeah, that's a thing. Yeah, that's a thing.
Yeah, and people are interested in private clouds but the more and more we talk to customers, this area of collaboration, collaboration's been around forever and people have workarounds and there's all different ways of collaborating.
Yes.
However, we're finding particularly around next gen, it's just the way people work and everything's in the cloud. you sort of ask that question, and they're like, it's in the cloud, the Adobe cloud, like that's where all my documents are. And they grow up that way. And so I think what we're finding is like behaviors are changing. And so, yes, for the enterprises, there are some of those issues. For the next gen, there seem to be no issue. In fact, it's expectation. And then everywhere in between, then you think of, well, what are all the benefits? I mean, that whole, one source of the truth and being able to comment and so forth is important. And it becomes more and more important, particularly because content, the volume and the velocity of content is like no end to that. Right. So people do need to work more efficiently. And it can't be like, oh, is that the final doc? Oh, no, you have the final. I think at Max, somebody had it in their main stage. Or is this the final?
Yeah.
So to avoid that, the cloud is certainly pretty handy.
It sure is. I did a whole course at LinkedIn Learning on collaboration, remote collaboration, not just for Adobe products, but for Microsoft products and Google Docs and so on. And it is wonderful seeing Adobe move that way with the cloud documents for Illustrator, Photoshop, and InDesign. But David and I were talking that we need at least the InDesign one to go further. It's not enough for me to save it in the cloud and then tell David or send him a message, okay, it's ready for you to edit. We want both of us to be able to edit it concurrently.
Yes.
And,
today, right now.
Yeah. Can you make that happen for fiscal quarter 2025?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know if you all watched all the sneaks from Max.
I did watch some of them.
Yeah.
David watched them.
Yeah. So there was a little sneak around Photoshop and simultaneous, sort of this area of simultaneous editing and, the desire to lock out some areas of a design perhaps, but be able to edit others in a simultaneous way. So that was a sneak, and who knows, maybe it'll be reality.
Who knows? Yeah,
maybe so. That would be great. I love that you come from a creative world, that you are creative yourself, and you're also in marketing. And I think that for a lot of people, they see those as completely separate things. And as you know, next month we're running the Design and Marketing Summit. This is the third year, I think, that we've been doing the Design and Marketing Summit. We're really excited about that. And one of the core questions is, what is the intersection? And what do designers need to know about marketing? And what do marketers need to know about design? So I'm just going to pitch that to you because you live in both of those worlds. What do you think? What do people need to know about?
Oh my gosh, I love that question. And I love that you're having a conference around this. Design is always a marketer's best friend. And, I've had lots of different roles in my career. I've been a chief marketing officer a couple different times and led marketing in different capacities and also inside Adobe. And the one thing, and it doesn't matter the size of company or whether you're an agency or freelancers or what have you, is the one common ground is customer. And sometimes we forget that. And sometimes marketers are also notorious for falling in love with a certain message or like, this is what the campaign could be. And designers sometimes fall in love with their designs or visual imagery or what they think it evokes. But the one thing that brings you all back to home base, I think, is the customer and really understanding, who is this customer? What do they care about? What is it that we're trying to message? And what is it that we want how they will receive it? The other part is I always find is, let's just call a couple customers. We have an idea, maybe for a campaign, or there's some early designs. We have lots of friendlies. Let's call them and see what they think. So we actually do quite a bit of that, to tell you the truth, is test marketing. And that, I think, is really fun to do with designers and marketers together.
And so everyone learns from the customer, from the audience, and then they can come back and talk about it together.
That's good.
Yes.
I love that.
Yeah.
Test it out on somebody, on a real human.
Yes.
Aren't there AIs?
Not family. Not your family. Or your dog, or no. No.
Not an AI. You can't upload it and say, "Is this any good?" No, you need to.
Not really. Not yet.
Test it on a human. Okay. All right. Hey, this is really great. Thank you so much, Karen, for taking the time to just give us some insights into Adobe, put a face to Adobe, which is incredibly helpful. I love what you're saying, and I love that artwork behind you. That just makes me very happy. So, I just wish
so much.
Wish it had been done in InDesign, but that's okay. Next time
right.
we're going to work on that.
You could do a multi-page, something.
Okay.
You let me know if you need some more work.
We will.
All right.
Okay.
All right. That sounds good.
Thanks so much.
Thank you,
Karen.
So much.
Okay.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Excellent. That was great.
Thank you very much, Karen.
Thank you, Karen.
Cool.
All kinds of good stuff happening at Adobe. Love it.
For sure. Okay, let's wrap up now with news and the obscure feature.
Okay, let's do that.
So remember, we started putting the news at the end of our podcast so we could jump into the meat of the podcast sooner. But now the news is also the meat of the podcast. And what kind of interesting bits of news do we have today?
All the 2020, I can't even speak right. All the 2025 events for CreativePro are now open. So we've launched the websites, and you could register now. CreativePro Week 2025, of course, is open. That's been open for a month or so.
That's in June, and that's in June.
June 2nd through 6th in Phoenix, Arizona, and online. That's going to be crazy great. Also design and marketing is coming back. The presentation design conference is coming back. That'll be in March. Over Pi Day, actually. That's going to be Pi Day in March. And we're adding a new event next year. I'm very excited about that.
A new online event?
A new online event.
Okay.
The InDesign conference.
The who? Yay! Finally! What took you so long?
Well,
I guess it's covered at the CreativePro conference. So
well,
I guess,
that's the thing. We did the InDesign conference for years and years.
Yeah.
And then all over, the InDesign conference has been all over the world, but it was always an in-person event. And so in 2017, when we merged it into CreativePro Week, right? That was part of the idea of CreativePro Week. We'll bring in the InDesign conference and PepCon and PSAI and Click, bring all of those into, and we'll just call it CreativePro Week.
Right.
So the InDesign conference, I think I was sad. I was sad that we didn't. No, the real reason is CreativePro Week is awesome, and but it's still too limited. We still can't go in depth in design as much as I want to.
Because there's so many other competing software programs and technologies and interest groups and so on, and it sort of gets subsumed by everything else in CreativePro Week.
The thing is that CreativePro Week is a great opportunity to see where it all comes together, right? Photoshop, Illustrator, PowerPoint, InDesign, it's all in one place, and you can deep dive for 5 days.
Right.
And yet still there's more. That's what's amazing about InDesign is you can go even deeper, even after 5 days. So we figured, look, let's do a deep dive, call it the InDesign conference, put it online so anybody around the world can be there. So look, I hope you all come to CreativePro Week, of course. But when you're ready, by the end of 6 months later, when you're ready to go even deeper, I think you're going to really enjoy the InDesign conference.
Yeah.
It's
great idea.
It's good. So lots of that's the news right now. That's kind of exciting, of course, for us. Some people are like, but it's in December, right? I'm like, yeah, not this December.
2025.
2025. You have to hold it. Don't hold your breath. But we are looking forward to it. That's going to be good.
And if you are a CreativePro member, remember that you can look on your benefits page because you guys get a discount of $125 off of any multi-day pass to any of these online or offline in-person summits, conferences, and so on.
That's right. You just log in, go to My Benefits, and you can find the code there.
That's right.
Okay. All right. What do we need to talk about?
We have the obscure InDesign feature of the week. Show subset. I'm the one who added it to our long list of obscure features.
Yep.
And you didn't know where it was in the beginning.
You almost stumped me on this one.
I almost got you.
Show subset. That was really. But then I found that it kind of shows up in two different places. So I'm really curious.
It could. The one that I was referring to. Are libraries. That's one of the ones that you found?
Yeah, libraries.
Okay, that's in the old school library.
The old
library. You go to File, Library, and insist that no, you don't want to try out CC libraries. You want to create a regular library. You can save the library file to your desktop. You can add items from different InDesign files to it, and then in the flyout menu, in the 3-line menu for the panel, for the library panel, there is an item that says show subset. So it's kind of like a find command. And if you choose show subset, you could say just show me the items with that are text frames, or just show me the ones with this word in the description, that kind of thing. Yep. That's what show subset is.
I still like the old style libraries. I was mentioning at Adobe MAX, I did that interactive documents session. And one of the things I was showing in that was there's a library built in. I think we may have talked about this as an obscure feature at one point. There's a library built in inside the buttons and forms panel. Mm-hmm. If you go to the menu, you can choose show sample buttons, show sample. Let's see, what's it called? Yeah, sample buttons and forms. Right. And it opens an old school, not a Creative Cloud library, but an old school InDesign library. Mm-hmm. And then down at the bottom of that little library window, the floating panel, you can find that little show subset magnifying glass.
That's true. In one of the videos I did for InDesign Tips for Design Geeks on LinkedIn, I showed how you can convert that sample buttons and libraries to a Creative Cloud library.
Really?
Yeah, really neat.
I don't think I caught that one. Oh,
yes.
We're gonna have to
link to it.
Let's link to that. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So that's pretty obscure because
that's a good one. But you said you saw it in 2 places. Did you already mention it?
Well,
I didn't hear you.
The glyphs panel has a subset. It's not called subset though. It's not. So it's not. Doesn't really count. And also, I think in CC libraries, there is a way to show a subset in a CC library when you're searching. And
really?
I can't remember where I found it, but I'm pretty sure in the CC library there's a way to show subset. So either way, it's still about libraries. Now we broke Anne-Marie.
No, I'm not. You broke my brain. I'm not finding it, but if it's there, I will find it.
Yes. Okay. Good.
I'll open the code and I'll search for it.
You do that. You do that.
Yeah, okay.
All right. Oh my gosh. Well, I would say that's it. That's it.
Yeah, that's a big episode.
That was big. That was a lot of stuff in there.
That's it for episode 324.
Thank you. Yes.
Be sure to check out the show notes on our blog at CreativePro.com, where we'll have links to all the places that we mentioned. And remember, if you're using cloud documents, please add some comment to the show notes or email us about how you're using cloud documents.
Yeah, I'd love to hear.
We'd love to hear what you thought of the show. Leave a comment there. Start a topic on the InDesign Secrets groups on Facebook or LinkedIn. And until we meet again, this is Anne-Marie Concepción and
David Blatner for InDesign Secrets.